Well, good morning, everybody. So here is our third episode of At Home with Tanya and Jolene. Thanks so much for joining us today. And today we have a really special guest, former client, or I should say current client, past client, I should say, of mine, Joy Proctor. She is a current fourth grade teacher. She has also been a sixth grade teacher, and you've also taught middle school science. Is that right, Joy? Yeah. Awesome. So we thought that this was going to be so timely today. All of us are trying to pretend be teachers. If you've got kids at home, even if they're online schooling through their, school or district or whatever, we're still trying to figure this all out. I know this has been like a huge rock I've been carrying around with my kids. So I am super excited to have you.
Well, thanks so much. It's been amazing to reconnect with you and partner together. Tanya helped sell my condo, my little one-bedroom condo, as I was in the third trimester, and thank God you did, right on the due date. It was sold. So
Yay!
I'm always grateful for that with Tanya. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Joy. I appreciate that. So, Joy, you are in Maine, right? And so we're here in Virginia. So, tell us just a little bit about like what your environment is right now. Are you guys at a stay at home order, like where shelter in place? What exactly is going on there?
Sure. It's just like in the movies when they have that slow motion scene of like, what's happening around here? Like, there was talk of the virus, and kids in general, we know this. I teach fourth grade. They love to get into the news sensationalized stuff. So like really the majority of the beginning of 2020 was like, all right, guys, like, I know you're all hearing about the coronavirus, but it's okay. We're going to stay safe. You're very much giving that message to kids, just about everything they're hearing in the news, So, as we're kind of like watching ourselves and like, okay, wait, like now it seems like it is kind of in the United States, and like, all right, we're watching these cities, and where I live in Portland, Maine, has a big, giant sort of like, I guess, highway of sorts of like people that are living in New York City that want to come to Portland. That's like kind of a major pipeline. So there's a lot of
know that.
have jobs in the city, and certainly like when telework started taking off, a lot of people have moved up here, and even like going back and forth a lot is pretty common. So
wow.
And it just took us by surprise too. Like we knew something was going to happen. This is like middle of March. And, it's just funny being a teacher, all these lockdown drills too. You're just kind of trained to be in that mode of like, we're okay, everything's normal. And then the day after school, we were called for a meeting, and our leaders were saying, okay, everyone bring your laptops home. We're going to be at home now. We're going to do digital learning at home. So
wow. And you're probably like, whoa.
Yeah, it was just the shock. And it was funny too, because you guys are going to love this. We had just the tension in the air of like, what's happening all day on this particular Friday. And then at dismissal, inevitably, a kid in the class, as all the kids were leaving, somebody pulled the fire alarm.
Oh no.
Yes. So it's like, I tell my colleagues too, like they must have been feeling that tension of like a lot of my colleagues have been saying it's a grief of sorts, because, it's again, you find yourself in those slow motion movie scenes of like, okay, wait, what? Like we had all this momentum. Like I had just opened this brand new box of math books, just you have all this,
wow,
as a teacher, this like internal commitment to your kids, and you very much like just ride off the momentum of teaching them. And it's like, all of a sudden it was just kind of like a crisis of like, just stop. And then, where's all that energy going? And, we're all finding ourselves kind of like, well, what?
Yeah.
What do we do now?
How are you doing in like we're doing Zoom? Like, are you doing any of that with your class, or how are you doing the online training that you mentioned that you guys are kind of put together?
Well, it's interesting too, because watching, it's almost like the teachers were kind of in the balconies, like, okay, what is the district? What direction are we supposed to go in right now? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I was telling you, I prepared sort of one of my like ed theory things that I can't resist sharing. Like educators, we use this Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah. Oh, I've heard about this. Yes.
Yeah. And we always say, you can't do the upper levels until those lower levels are met.
Yeah.
So, if you think about what teaching is, and like our desires to be, pushed mentally, and learning new skills and being the best, well, it's like you can't get that done while you're sitting in a state of fear and anxiety at home, or wondering, how am I going to get access to resources that the school is providing, such as free lunch, free breakfast, or many of our social workers for changing families. And so in many ways the district has been letting us know that, like, one of their main directives is like that connectedness with families, and knowing we're still here. Because you think to an elementary age child, they're so concrete, and we know that about them. They in very many ways can only do what's in front of them. And so the abstract notion of what is a virus and how is that impacting me and why am I at home, right. It's gonna several weeks and months to really have a child
understand that.
So I really, I like my district's approach with, like, first and foremost, you let the families know that we're there for them, and we're going to try in any way we can to just kind of secure these lower level needs of, get everything in place here with food, water, warmth, and then up, comes your security and safety, which many of us are feeling at home, so
right.
The thing is, how can you learn long division if you're, at home with your family, hunkered down? So,
right.
They've kind of shared the message with us, in terms of teaching standards, what our students already, is it a thing where we're maintaining what has already been taught, and we're providing works that it's like, okay, remember we learned how to, determine the theme of a book. So do we just practice that and know, like, you're dealing with enough, so keep practicing those skills. And then when do we draw the line in the sand of, like, okay, like, now we're doing this the rest of the year, what about these standards that have not been taught? Right. So in many ways, we're really thinking about, what is realistic, possible, and a lot of the times there's equity issues too, in terms of, like, access to technology. And
that's
been a struggle, I think, around here too, is what we've heard.
Does your district provide computers?
They do. Yeah. They had a couple rollout days of I guess it was the Chromebooks. And then
so we were just talking about, how, Joy, your district is kind of coming to the current realization in terms of, how to teach online and how you adapt and stuff. I just want to jump forward a little bit on my question. Is there been any conversations in your district about how, since you're going to be closed for the rest of the school year, how that's going to transition to next year with the children, in terms of, how do you catch up? Like, how do you use summer? Like, is that all just being discussed right now?
There's so much speculation right now, and it's really hard. We all have the same questions too as teachers, and a lot of it's out of our hands. It's even out of our district, in terms, it has to be like state and national decisions too. So we're waiting in the sidelines. And it's so funny to see, like, the kids' reaction to, like, I had a class meeting, it's Zoom, and it's just hilarious because you have to teach them all these skills. Okay, mute your mics, everyone. Like, I don't need just things you expect would be, like, assumed and automatic for kids never are.
Yeah.
Right. How many children do you have in your class?
I have 22.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's for fourth graders to get on a Zoom call, like, control, but to keep them focused as well.
Trying to be dynamic in terms of, like, what are these little creatures going to do online? Like, you think about kids, and you guys have kids, when they imagine themselves, like, being a worker, they want to watch their videos, they want to get on YouTube, and they're quick clickers. So, for example, I've been posting assignments too on Google Classroom, which has been a great intuitive forum. And I'll put all this work into, all right, we're going to fill in this graphic organizer. It's going to be great. I'm going to be commenting, and we're going to be doing it, guys. And they're just they open it and they click turn in without even doing any of the work. And see, we know this about working with kids too. Kids are just such creatures of routine, and they really need, once you teach, then you let go, and then they can launch and be independent. So where I'm struggling is, like, okay, what are the routines online that I need to teach into so that they know what's expected? And also, you lose that kind of oversight of accountability. You know, it's like, well,
Yeah.
I had a class meeting. I said, okay, guys, now it's time to leave. One of the girls goes, oh, I'm not leaving. You can't make me. So I'm like, oh, you're right. I can't make you. I really can't make you do this.
You just have to end the call. Goodbye. Leave the meeting.
So interesting too, because it's like, so from my perspective, like I have a senior, you know, so it's like her graduating year. So she's missing out on a lot of that. She's worried about how next year's going to go in the sense of, is she going to actually go to college in the fall and start, you know, face to face, or is this still going to be happening? Then I have an almost 4-year-old who goes to school and she's like, Mom, and she has been to school in a month. She's like, and she doesn't understand, like, why can't I go to school? When am I going to school? Am I never going to school? You know, and it's like trying to explain, but they're each these different dynamics, but it's just so interesting. And like, you know, and then you're in the middle of that in 4th grade. It's like, my daughter started virtual today, you know, Fairfax County just started today. So they were on Zoom when I left this morning. She was, you know, on the call, and it's just going to be interesting how it goes, because
you know, it's like, okay, I have 22 kids. Only 9 of them came to my class meeting. I had posted it for the announcement. I use this really cool app. It's called Talking Points, where you can preload all the parents' cell phones. And then I just send a class message. So let's see. I'll post, you know, various things like all the assignments for today, and we'll go right to the parents' cell phone, so then they can say, okay, are you doing your journal entry and your math website check-in? So
that's awesome.
The class meetings every day at 1, and I had 9 kids show up. So, you know, part of our question in all this is like, well, what about the kids where are these kids that have like gone missing? And, you know, are they busy taking care of younger siblings? And it's like, you know, how do we push as a school district, like academics and standards, when it's like there's this pandemic crisis going on outside? So
yeah, I mean, you're talking about what is it, Maslow's triangle. I mean, when you can't satisfy the lower levels of the triangle, you can't, you know, there's very little learning there if like you said, someone is trying to if, you know, older siblings are taking care of younger siblings, or having to take on more responsibility at home, or you know, we're all struck,
you know, and you know, we have different levels too with like, you know, our families, you know, some of them are scared to leave the house, like kids cooped up in a small apartment. I'm like, you know, it's all uncharted territory, and I don't know how to, you know, provide that comfort either of like, it's okay to go outside. You know, we're still learning in this ever-changing times what's going on outside. So
it's also, you know, kind of like when you go to school every day, and when they don't show up for a few days, you know, to check in on them, right? And you, like, the schools would be, you know, following up, like, where are you, like that kind of thing. Right. And like in this environment, it's like an interesting point, because it's like, if they don't come to these class, you know, meetings, classroom meetings you have, at what point does the school reach out to say, are you okay? Like, is everything okay? Like, are you good? You know, that kind of thing too. So it's very interesting.
It is interesting, especially, you know, we're expected to take attendance every day. And, you know, my colleagues and I are like, well, what, you know, how are we measuring somebody who's here or not? And they say, oh, you know, online access, a message from a parent could count. And just shifting to that mindset is just so hard when it is so vague and such a gray area. Like, you need to tell me if a student just logged in or even sat in my class meeting, that would count as a present. Yeah. And another thing that kind of blew my mind was talking to a teammate of mine, another 4th grade teacher. She said, Joy, I had to send a big message out to the parents. They had to know that this work I'm giving to the kids is meant to be done independently. She said it blew the parents' minds. The parents think that they have to, you know, sit and teach and like do all this exhausting labor. And she said, no, I've been planning. And, you know, it was kind of an assumption that we had noticed us teachers all made of like, you know, we've been assigning work that we wanted you to do independent, that we knew would help you keep your skills up without bothering mom and dad who are busy working.
Yes.
You know, planning their trips to the grocery store and navigating these new waters. So
what would be some tips and advice that you would give parents? Because I mean, that's one of the things that I struggle with, is that, you know, it's the work from home, and while, you know, one of my younger daughter goes to a school that teaches independent learning, or supposedly, I mean, she's 6, so how much is she going to really take in, right? But what are some things that parents can do to help their kids independently learn or work independently, and they're not sitting side by side and doing the work together?
That's a good question. I mean, I think about when we're like sort of launching the reading workshop in September, and we're trying to build this, culture of readers who are expected to read and sit and work hard and, even compare texts in 2 different formats. We always start simple of like, okay, turning it into a challenge. Kids, we're going to try to read all by ourselves for 10 minutes, just 10 minutes. No one's going to be walking around the room. We're going to be keeping books in our hands. We're not talking to friends. Your goal is to be a reader. And so then we'll kind of like partner it with math in that way. So we'll start graphing, say, wow, class, you did it for 10 minutes. You were independent for 10 minutes. And just remembering with kids too, they need that like slow build up toward the desired routine. So, as a parent, giving yourself patience, like it doesn't have to be beautiful and perfect and like amazing, teacher of the year moments where it's like, I'm watching myself too as a parent of toddlers, like, okay, is this how it's going? All right, kids, we're going to need to slowly shift this nap and work and have this meeting at 3:00. So knowing like, even older kids too, they're just creatures of routine. And it's just a slow process of building up toward the desired amount and celebrating those wins along the way. And hopefully that's helpful. And I just think about that analogy of building, a classroom of readers, and then they're proud and they know what's expected. Wow, mom, I did it for 15 minutes. Like with older kids too, it's like, kids, this is your room time. You're going to go in your room now and have independent exploration,
Right. And then do you find, is it,
oh, go ahead. Sorry. I mean, by that, like 10-minute analogy, like you just mentioned, like starting small, it's almost like kind of not anticipating them to sit there for hours to do this work. It's like, do it 10 minutes at a time, take a break, maybe come back for 15, that kind of thing. So it's like.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm really glad you brought that up because of course I prepared another graphic for everybody. Again, like, speaking out teacher in me that like loves graphic organizers. But one of the things we talk about a lot in teaching is the zone of proximal development. So hopefully you guys can see this. The idea is, students can do things on their own independently, and students can do things with scaffolded supports, and then students can do things with an adult. So, if you think about the school day too, it's not just direct instruction and high stress and like, go, and I'm going to, sometimes it's just about the maintenance of skills again. So, I think about some standards such as fractions, right? We do a lot of fractions work in 4th grade. So it's like, some of the times it's going to be that direct instruction with fractions and equivalence. But sometimes it's going to be, you're going to go off in the corner and you're going to take all this 1/3 of a cup and see how many 1/3 of a cup it takes to make 3, gallons or whatever it is. So just pair it with like, what can they do alone, and allowing them to have that time to absorb and integrate all the new learning. So, when I think about the teachers, I know that's what we're trying to do is, 40 minutes of kind of that like intense learning of math, just 40 minutes a day of math. And then, it's not going to look like 7 intense hours the way a real school day would be.
Right.
So hopefully that makes sense. And I didn't just, ramble too deeply in theory for you guys.
No, I think part of it for me, honestly, it's resonating with me because it's I haven't been in a school environment for a number of years, right? And my work is obviously in a very different mindset in terms of understanding how children learn, but yet where we're all at right now is, we're at home with our children, and I'm not an educator, and while it should be common sense that I understand how they learn and process things, it doesn't come to me naturally. Like what you're saying really, it does help me say, okay, hang on a second. Like in the regular school day, it's not just, there are sometimes, co-learning with somebody, right? Either with another student or with a teacher. And sometimes they are doing independent stuff, and sometimes they're just goofing off. And so even though maybe they shouldn't be at school, they are still goofing off. And so all of those things are acceptable, in my little perfect square of a mind. Like I need what's acceptable and what's not, and all of those things you're saying are acceptable. And so it makes me feel like maybe it's going to be okay with my kids.
Yeah, it is going to be. And I think about too, even myself as a new teacher and just being, okay, the kids are going to do this and it's just going to go. But it's like, then understanding, you know, I launched the year off one year with all this work with place value and numbers in the thousands. And then a coach that I worked with said, you know what, let these kids build 10,000. They're going to take little cubes and just build them for 10,000. And it was amazing because it rooted their number sense ideas, you know, and you think, well, they know what 10,000 is. Like they're supposed to add, you know, 23,000 plus 12,000, like line them up and go. But to really like stay rooted in a concept, that was just an idea when I would, you know, imagine having older kids at home, especially fourth, fifth graders, like, you know, take a deep dive and use this time, you know, bring out the sea glass collection, the rock, you know, pennies, you know, start, you know, exploring concepts in that way too is super meaningful and valuable.
And I think kind of like what Tanya, some of what you're saying, like I mentioned, I have a large dynamic of a senior who she's pretty much independent. And then, you know, 4-year-old who has very limited attention span. But I also remember when my other older ones were younger that when I'd go to volunteer at their schools, I always said I could never be a teacher. You know, like you guys, you know, the needs and how you know, handle these kids and manage them. I'm like, I'm here for an hour and I'm ready to, like, you know, I got to get out of here.
And it's so funny. We have our team meetings 3 days a week, and like everybody's kind of grumpy. Like we're not computer people. Like we don't want to be sitting here. Like, you know, our teacher leaders, like I miss walking around the school, like putting out fires for kids, you know, the fire alarm. Like, you know, we're action people, and like we really miss the kids too. You know, we want to.
And you know, I think all of this, like to come from the good of what all this is that's happening. And I think like my little one, I was saying, she was asking, when am I going to school? She's hated going to school prior, like every day. Do I have to go to school today? Yeah. No, I don't want to go. And now she's like, when can I go to school?
Right. Right.
It is going to have an appreciation that, you know, we didn't have before. And the same, like with you're saying, you know, you guys, I'm sure there's days where you're like, I do not want to go, you know, or I don't feel like doing this. But now you're like, wait, I do want to do this.
Right. Wait, I love my career. I love this. I knew why I picked it.
Yes. So it's I think making us aware of things that we took for granted, and we now know that we do want to do it. You know, we want to be able to have the ability to do it.
Yeah, we just want society back. We want our healthy running society.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the social aspect of all of this, I think, is somewhat the biggest loser, right? In all of it is that we just miss. And while we can still connect this way and see each other's faces, and you can still read body language to a certain extent, it's, you know, it doesn't replace a hug. And I don't mean to be, you know, super emotional about it, but it doesn't. And so, you know, I think that's just kind of, and the high fives and the, you know, getting, you know, like my kids, like they're tired of seeing my face. Like they don't want a high five from me anymore. They want a high five from their teacher or their friend or, you know, some other instructor or coach that influences their life. They don't want it from me.
Right.
So that's,
and right. Knowing so much of school is all those interactions of like, you know, this is my autonomous time to practice being like somebody away from my family. Like that's so much of school. That's like the hidden curriculum, right? Like,
yes,
this is
that's
where
their identity.
And especially teenagers, you know, I really feel for them, like especially your senior.
Yeah, I know. It's just amazing that like her, you know, prom, graduation, like all the things, like it's just, I mean, you know, and future in life, you'll look back and it'll be an experience, you know, and something that, you know, will stand out to you. But right now it's just such a disappointment, you know, and it's just unfortunate. But, you know, like you were just talking about the emotional side of it, Tanya, my little one this morning was like, we're talking about school and she goes, I miss, you know, her teacher. She said her name and she's like, I miss her. And I know she misses me.
And it's true.
Yeah.
My first class meeting, I didn't know what to expect. I felt kind of, you know, again, that screen to screen dynamic. Yeah. And there only 4 kids showed up, you know, because it was the first kind of dry run. I'm sure they were trying to figure it out too. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's like 4th graders, they're 10. And I'm like, I know what these kids can do. You know, these kids can find theme in a book. These kids can do long division. Every single kid had a stuffed animal.
Oh.
And, you know, just showing their stuffed animal. And I was like, they're babies. Like, you know, they're looking for, you know, comfort. And it was just, it kind of like blew my mind. I was like, yeah, you guys like want that comfort right now too.
Yeah.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
All right, so there's two more questions for you, Joy. One that's kind of on topic, and then the other one that we like to round out our conversations with folks about their favorite binging things. So that's our last question. But before we get there, can you give us? I love your whiteboard back there. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to get into it. So hopefully can you give us your top 3 or 4 resources, online stuff, or it doesn't necessarily have to be online. Not everything has to be online. I know some parents are trying to kind of rein that in as best they can, but anything that you have to share with us, top 3 or 4 resources that we can use.
I would be thrilled to. I mean, this is one of my passions. We talk about binging. This is like a professional binge where I'm like, oh, we could do this and we could do that.
Ooh.
I hesitate with families. I don't want to overwhelm, people that are like very much so in trauma right now, but it's like, it's been really fun to see educators and just even all the people I work with on social media over the years. Like, did you know about this? Did you know about that? And I want to be putting those in the hands of families. So I wanted to share some resources, and I use some of these in the classroom in my daily practice. The first one is Epic, that you can reach on getepic.com.
Okay.
It's a resource of like thousands of books, and it's just super engaging for kids because many of the books will be read to the child. So, you talk about like, oh, wow, like wish we had that when we were kids. Like the books are even being read to you. Like, come on, read.
Yeah.
You don't have it easier than 2020.
Perfect bedtime thing.
Yep. And then eSpark is the other one, which is, and these are all free. eSpark is one they have both reading and math, and it kind of gives the kids a game board. So they're kind of it's all very easy to access and concrete. And again, gives them that autonomous feeling of like, this is my work. It's very clear. Click on the next thing. So for parents working and like, okay, you know what to do. Click on that ball. So I would recommend this one for that app.
Oh, that's awesome.
The next is Dreambox. Now this is a paid account, but from now, I think when this all began, I guess mid-March, all the way till April 30th, parents can create free accounts. And I would just tell parents and families to jump all over this, dreambox.com.
Okay.
Again, it gives kids that autonomous feeling of like, it kind of predicts who they are as a math student. So it starts giving them curriculum and tasks to do that's intuitive based on the answers they provided.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so super, super important for independence and math practice. And it's neat too. I love all these developers because they're making it seem like it's a video game to kids. So
right. In
some ways, they know they're learning and they're doing school, but it's nothing like we've ever, workbooks.
Yeah, that's how I learn is workbooks.
I know.
Like I've been printing worksheets out for my 6-year-old, and she's like, I don't want to work I don't want to look at worksheets anymore.
They want to be, and they want to be like us. They see mom on her computer and doing work, and they want to be that. It's just beautiful, really. The next is Khan Academy. I know, Tanya, you mentioned you use this with your girls.
I do.
Yeah. And again,
I like it.
Straightforward nonprofit that just PowerPoints and activities and different aspects of curriculum that students can explore on their own.
Yeah.
And then the last one is News ELA. This is really where I find the majority of my reading articles that I assign for students. And there's follow-up quizzes and activities. So in terms of assessment purposes, I like it in that aspect. So it really checks to see if they're reading and, encourages them to go back to the text, which we have a hard time getting students to do.
And understanding the concepts. Yes.
Yeah.
So is that last one all ages, or what's kind of the age group for that last one? I really like that one.
Yeah, this last one I've seen, I haven't really explored the extent of what it can do, but like I'll see modifications for my educator account where I can change reading levels for even each kid.
Oh, nice.
I would say, I really like it for upper elementary. I know it does go higher too into middle school.
Okay.
But it's just amazing. There's just so much. I'm even still exploring the realms of limitation. That's what's possible. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So I think that, kind of what we were talking about is we do want to do, get back to what we are, but I think this time also can be used to explore and find new ways of doing things, even when you go back, or give you new opportunities to be able to add to what you were, doing before that you just didn't have the time to do,
Right.
So I think that's that's what we're trying to do in our business, is like put systems in place and things like that we didn't have the time to do before, but now
Yes.
it's a little bit of a different environment that's giving us that opportunity.
And if that's just it, if you stay focused on the creativity aspect of it, it's like new things can blossom. This is like, a high peak of like ingenuity and creativity.
Exactly.
Definitely pay attention to.
Yes.
Good for you, ladies, for harnessing that.
Okay, so now.
Jolene came to be.
What?
I said that's how At Home with Tanya and Jolene came to be.
Yes. Yes. Because we were like trying to figure out like, how do we talk? Like, what's our tone? Like, what can we offer? Like, and, we were like, gosh, all we have to do is think about the things that we're struggling with right now. And to be sure that there are numbers, if not thousands of people that are, having those same thoughts and challenges and stressors and everything. So why not look at it from like, just kind of a 360 degree, I don't know.
I was going to say, there's the idea that there are these like countless resources being outpoured. A big thinking I had too was like, ask your child school and teachers, what are, capitalize on the fact they are creatures of routine. What digital learning accounts are these kids used to accessing? Because if you think about it, again, you're going to train your child to be engaged in this way, and kind of like less is more. Pick 3 or 4 sites. Maybe they're ones that they use already in school. Maybe they're new ones that I just shared with you today. And then the idea is, you want your kid to feel those feelings of success. So it's not just like, oh, every day something new and jerking, the kids around with all these different formats and ways of doing, but just take a deep dive into a few. And, especially if you have young kids too, ask the school, what are you imagining kindergarten would look like right now, or first grade? We don't want, that's our biggest worry with the younger students. It's like, well, how are they going to feel the feelings they feel in school? And, how are we going to get them connected and know this is real, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so much good stuff, Joy.
Yeah, reach
out.
Thank you. Reach out to the schools. I just can't say it enough. We are all just wondering how to best reach your kid and what they need. We want to, just shower on the resources to the extent we're able to.
And so I'm sure the communication between parents and schools and teachers and stuff really will certainly help that, right? And just kind of what's going on at home and how can school support that and vice versa is, I would assume, pretty critical right now.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I had a parent reach out to me and said, my daughter is so depressed. She's had a horrible year to begin with. My heart just goes out to her. And the family wanted to connect her with a friend and knew that I would have that contact info. So, I was able to kind of like be a liaison in that way. So, it's nice to understand, just reach out. Remember, your child's teacher is a partner with you. It just as important. We feel, we know too, we're just as important as a parent,
Right.
We want to shower that on, in the same way that care and support and access.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay. All right. So our 3 favorite binging things right now. Jolene, do you want to kick it off? You want me to kick it off?
Well, the one I always ask is, what's your favorite food to binge right now? Something that you can't stop eating.
Oh man, let's see. It's so funny. Like, so many of my answers are going to be tampered with the fact that I'm raising toddlers right now. So, like, any minute I can get is just so beautiful. Like, I get everything after a nap and I'm like, just a cookie I can eat where no one's begging for it. Like, this is my cookie. And it just, even that, it doesn't even need to be binge, just like enjoying a cookie.
Just one.
It's actually yours and you get to eat the whole thing.
Yes, I mean, it's just the little things, ladies. Like, just eating that cookie, maybe a glass of milk, and knowing like no one's gonna be after it, because that's really hard. Like, that's really, really the hardest part. I'm like, this.
Yes.
Oh, my son, this is mommy's. You can.
Yes. I had a little bit of a selfish moment like that on Easter, actually,
Yeah.
where it was like, yeah, I was like, listen, I just need a moment here. Just let me have my time to do my thing in my space. Just and actually they did. They let me have that time. So thankfully, I only had to rear an ugly head to do it, but
It's unfortunate, really, but you know, the things we need to do as moms.
exactly. All right, so do you have a favorite TV show or a podcast or a movie that you're binging right now that just kind of is like, it's like brain candy for you?
Um, I mean, again, like I'm just
Or
so
a book or
exhausted
something?
from so exhausted from doing all this and like
Oh,
parenting
yeah.
toddlers. So it, you know, again, it's just a little taste of what I can get is enough for me. I've been trying to see what's like trending on Netflix, and I've checked out that show Outlander, where the
Oh,
woman
yeah.
kind of goes back in time. And I love history myself, so I just
Oh,
keep
yeah.
that lens in mind as I watch. So I don't know that I'm binging. I'm sometimes falling asleep on the couch with an episode on. I enjoy
Yes,
that. It's like another mom time thing of mine.
yes, exactly. Are you like a Downton Abbey fan? Are you that kind of history, or are you more like American history?
I like American history because I can latch
American
on.
history.
And then, you know, when I was
Yeah.
teaching in Virginia, the Virginia Studies is so fun. That's the one
Yeah.
about living down there. Like in fourth grade, that was like just what it was. It was super engaging, fun to teach.
Yes.
Yeah, I am
Yeah.
partial to American history.
Fun. And then our last question is like favorite like hobby, like a favorite thing that it's like, you know, you just want to get through your day and get your kids in bed so you can do this. Do you have one right now? Do you have time? Maybe
I
that's
just
the
don't,
cookie.
just like
Yeah,
that.
it's the
I don't
cookie.
know who I am right now.
Probably researching for school. Probably.
Taking a bath and like
Yeah.
knowing I'm gonna open the door. That's just the theme of it all. You know, and I told Tanya this too, like, this is really hard on extroverted people. Like, I love getting out with friends. Like, I miss restaurants, being a foodie. Like, I really need society back in that way. Like, you know, some people are
Yeah.
introverted and they just love to stare out the window all day. But, you know, I really miss, you know, networking and, you know, being out there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, no, I understand that. I mean, I like to be home, but by nature, like I am an extrovert too. Like I'm social and I like to interact with people and talk and chit chat. And, you know, even if it's someone random at the grocery store, which, you know,
Yes.
right now you can't do that very
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Joy, it was so good seeing you again. Thank you so much for your time. Sorry again for our technical glitches. I swear this is all a learning process for us.
Go
Hey,
off.
it's better now than like when
It's
you
off.
have 22 fourth graders in front of you and the lesson bombs and the projector won't work. So, you know,
Yeah. True.
Very good comparison.
it was so good to see you though, Tanya. I'm so glad we reconnected. And, you know, thanks
Yes.
for being on.
Yeah,
If I
great
could,
to
you know,
meet you.
help later,
Thanks.
follow up, I'd be interested.
Okay, super. Yeah, totally.
Thank you very much, and good luck with your continued teaching online, and then also raising your two little ones during
Thanks
this
so much.
time in our lives.
I
You as
know. All right, bye guys.
Props to your senior.
Take care. Everyone have a great day.
Bye.